But like I say, one thing I want to address to Mr. Guns and Gear, since you aren't man enough to stand up and just defend your tactics and your fear-mongering, or the fact that you'll talk about me but not to me, the fact that you pussy out on that every time, well, I want to bring up another topic that maybe you'll want to defend, because I've gotten some information from a few reliable sources. It's not verifiable information, and I'm not presenting this as fact here. No one out there think I'm presenting this as fact, but I've gotten some reliable information that you're a fucking valor thief. So if you want to talk about that, let me know. But came from some pretty reliable sources. So, and then I noticed after someone said something to you about it on your video, about how you're a valor thief, you made a point to say, hey, one of those cops in this video is from my old unit. I'm like, why would anyone fucking say that or even notice that? Unless they're trying to defend themselves or something. So, yeah, Mr. Guns and Gear, you're a fearmonger, you're a profiteer.
We're going to be talking about the Yankee Marshal really quick. As you can tell, I posted a video of some really disgusting comments that he made about Mr. Guns and Gear. But his tune has changed because Mr. Guns and Gear responded, link in the description to that video. Now, the clip that I showed you, that belonged to a video that is no longer on the Yankee Marshal's channel. He removed it. However, I went ahead and archived it, and I put it on Bitchute on my personal channel. Link in the description so you can go ahead and see for yourself that I'm not misrepresenting the Yankee Marshal. I don't like it when people do it to me. I'm not going to do it to him. You know, like a lot of people like to do that when they're wrong. Like the amazing atheist, he misrepresented me and misrepresented a lot of the things that I said, you know, because he's an idiot, and so is the Yankee Marshal. So let's just go ahead and dive into his new claims. We're going to see how he's now talking about this topic, to completely changing his tune. Because Mr. Guns and Gear completely fucking obliterated the nonsense that was promoted on the Yankee Marshal's channel. So let's go ahead and watch.
I got some information from a couple of different sources, one of which was a very reliable source that has given me very good information on some of the larger gun channels before, that Mr. Guns and Gear was a bit of a valor thief. Now, they didn't say he didn't serve in the military at all or anything. They very much alluded to the fact that maybe it isn't exactly the way he said it was. But, you know, after I said that, and when I did say it, I did make it very clear that I can't prove this. I don't even know if I believe this. This is just the information. And the only reason I was even curious is because Mr. Guns and Gear had made some claims about an act of war by one of the, Black Lives Matter. And I'm like, well, that's not anywhere near close to an act of war. I think someone who served in 2 branches of the service would know that. So that made me curious. And some other things that have been said in the past that I'm like, no, that's not true. And you should know that if you're in the Army.
Very interesting. See how much information that was added in this new video, which is on Yankee Marshal's channel, which was omitted in the one that he removed. It's very funny how that works. Very, very funny how that works. But you know, 2 things I want to address. But before I start, something I'm going to leave out is the claims that Mr. Guns and Gear is a shill, that he's just out to make money. I personally don't give a fuck what products that he advertises for, what he promotes, what he likes or doesn't like, what product is better than something else. I don't fucking care. It's titty baby bullshit. It's like the M-Lock versus Key Mod debate. No one fucking cares. It doesn't matter. We are going to address the important stuff. One of them being the Yankee Marshal being a creep. 2 things are either happening. 2 things are happening here. One for sure. Maybe both. But the Yankee Marshal is possibly soliciting information on personal, private information on individuals on the platform. That's troubling to me. He is soliciting information pertaining to people's personal lives. That should worry people, that he's even bothering to do this. I don't like it. That's fucking weird to me. I don't know why he would want to do something like that. The second thing is somebody is willingly volunteering personal information to the Yankee Marshal for whatever reason. And if that is the case, why would anybody be volunteering private personal information on another individual here on the platform? That's very concerning. And I think the gun community deserves some answers for that. What am I supposed to infer from the information that the Yankee Marshal voluntarily brought forth? I don't know. But, you know, the Yankee Marshal wants to talk about people being pussies and cowards. Why don't you man up and bring forth the accusers? I think Mr. Guns and Gear is entitled to face his accusers, people who are stating that he is a valor thief. But then, of course, in the second clip that I showed you, all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, he embellished some things. Well, what did he embellish exactly? Instead of making these claims and expecting people to take it as gospel, why don't you bring forth the evidence? I mean, if you're already willing to somewhat softly dox somebody, why not just come forward and reveal your hand instead of being a fucking coward? See, what you're trying to do is you're trying to rob Mr. Guns and Gear of his reputation, and now you are trying to rob him of his time by having a more successful channel interact with you and give you a boost in popularity, which is ultimately what you want to do. This is what Cenk Uygur did to Sam Harris. Cenk Uygur called Sam Harris a racist and a genocidal maniac, which is hilarious coming from Cenk Uygur because he's literally denied the Armenian genocide multiple times. And now we have Yankee Marshal, basically softly accusing someone of being stolen valor or being a valor thief. And then he kind of backpedals like, oh, well, he embellished things about his military service. Well, what? What is he lying about? What is Mr. Guns and Gear lying about? I've seen a lot of Mr. Guns and Gear content, and I'm not aware or entirely sure what this old man is talking about or referencing specifically. I've seen a lot of Mr. Guns and Gear content. He rarely speaks of his military career or what he did when he was overseas or deployed or whatever. And I like that. I like that a lot about Mr. Guns and Gear because in this community, there's no such thing as authorities. And it's certainly really silly and stupid to, come forward on the platform and speak on a topic and basically use your service as a way to kind of, push out other voices or to think that your worldview or your opinions on certain gear or whatever is more valid than anybody else's because of something that you did in the military. It's kind of a douchey thing to do. I know a lot of political snobs like to do this. Somebody I was speaking with earlier, he's like, oh, well, I have a degree in political science. Therefore, yeah, dude, that doesn't mean shit in the real world. It's like I've worked for election departments. I've gotten people elected into office. I've volunteered. I've canvassed. I've managed campaigns. And, my feet were in the fucking ground. We were in the fucking mud. We were working. Your fancy college degree doesn't mean shit. But nonetheless, this is ultimately what is happening. You have you have a smaller channel trying to bait another one, and unfortunately, Mr. Guns and Gear took the bait. But my warning to Mr. Guns and Gear: don't engage with this man. Don't give him what he wants. He wants you to have a conversation. He wants to have a conversation with you. He wants to call you a shill. He wants to call you a bootlicker. He wants to call you a pussy and a coward to your face, and he wants to see you react and be uncomfortable. The way you were making that video, because I know you were talking about things that you do not want to talk about, and it would have been just as respectable if you stayed silent, but you came up, you shut down the lies, and I got your back, dude. Straight up, I 100% support Mr. Guns and Gear, and it's absolutely abhorrent what the Yankee Marshal did, essentially trying to dox this guy, baiting this guy into coming forward and publishing his personal documents on the internet. Fucking disgusting. Absolutely disgraceful. The Yankee Marshal should be fucking ashamed of himself. Another thing I want to address, though, are some of the points that he made in the second video. Basically saying that the Mr. Guns and Gear's, opinions about the politics surrounding what is going on, not just in Seattle, but all throughout the country. Because they are trying to set up these violent Black Lives Matter ideologues. They are trying to set up another autonomous zone in New York and in Washington, D.C. And it's not entirely unreasonable to suggest people need to arm up. People need to get familiar with firearms, with self-defense. People should be wary of dangerous ideologues. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with some of the claims that were made by Mr. Guns and Gear. Just to prove, I did this in 5 seconds. Basically just shitting all over some of the things that the Yankee Marshal has said. So let's just go ahead and roll the clips.
Where you were saying they were burning things down and and there were armed Antifa at every entrance, and they'd taken over a whole neighborhood, and blah, blah, blah.
This took no time at all to do. And these are just a few examples. There are many. There are many. And just to further solidify the point, first off, where the fuck does Yankee Marshal get off calling people bootlickers when he gets smacked around in the chat zone like a fucking pussy? He gets smacked around by these Black Lives Matter activist thugs. And his response is not to defend himself or stand up for himself. He's surrounded by these armed thugs, and he basically at the end of the exchange, and he starts going through the footage on the little camera that he had. Probably to appease them, to show them that he's not gathering intel, that he's going to use later against the ideologues that have occupied this territory in the United States. As for the other claims, it's like, dude, again, the onus is on you to disprove or debunk the claims that were made by Mr. Guns and Gear. And he couldn't do that. He just expects people to take it as gospel. And again, I just don't understand how you can call people pussies when you get smacked around by these violent activist thugs. And especially, and it's even funnier when he does it. He gets smacked around while also simultaneously trying to make this group look good. He's trying to run interference, run cover for these ideologues, and basically disprove people like me and Mr. Guns and Gear wrong, that our claims about the autonomous zone are wrong. Oh, we're exaggerating about the violence and the fires and the, so on and so forth, the shootings. There's been, I've lost count of how many shootings there were present at the Seattle Autonomous Zone. But just to recap, these are the people that the Yankee Marshal is trying to defend. Seattle Police Chief, we're not able to get to 911 calls for rapes, robberies in the autonomous zone. And I highlighted the most important part of this. I'm going to read it one more time. On Wednesday, the Seattle Police Department said it would try to reopen the East Precinct, and Best was able to visit the location on Thursday. Our calls for service have more than tripled, she told reporters. There are responses to emergency calls, rapes, robberies, and all sorts of violent acts that have been occurring in the area that we're not able to go to. So again, we're led to believe that we're exaggerating. We're fear-mongering when we tell people to look out for this shit. The violence has been normalized. We already know that the fake news industry is basically doing what the Yankee Marshal is doing. They are defending these violent thugs, calling them peaceful protesters and summer of lovers or whatever the fuck. The Yankee Marshal is going to take the fattest fucking L for this, and rightfully so. My final thoughts: the Yankee Marshal is a stupid old man. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He doesn't understand Antifa. He doesn't understand Black Lives Matter. He doesn't understand the paradigm shift in the country that's occurring largely thanks to these multinational corporations that are hell bent on attacking the family, attacking Christians, attacking the Second Amendment rights of American citizens. So we are unable to defend ourselves, attacking police institutions, attacking brave cops who do a thankless job. Embarrassing. But you know what, Caleb of Gun Nuts Media? You have been dethroned as the biggest fucking douchebag in the firearm community. Congrats. Enjoy your second place status as the second most biggest piece of shit on the platform that talks about the things that we talk about and advocate for the things that we advocate for. Yankee Marshal, you fucking suck, dude. Why don't you go drink some Metamucil, go sit down with your wife and watch Dancing with the Stars or Dr. Phil or whatever the fuck it is you guys do. And stay off the internet, dude. Like, you're not sophisticated enough for this. You're an ideologue, just like the people that we detest and that we combat in the arena of ideas. You're done, dude. I'm done with you. I unsubscribed. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I don't expect everyone to be in 100% agreement with me, but I have my limits, dude. Good luck with your channel. Fuck off, Mr. Guns and Gear. If you're ever in Vegas, the beers are on me, man. Peace out.